This edition of Jimmy's Design Blog, where we give you tips, tricks, and all sorts of things you can do to make your designs better. This week's design blog is week 2, and it's called Helvetica Bold or Not, or using typography and image stuff. But before we get started, I want to give you a few books and stuff. I like to give you some things because we're supposed to be continual learners. One thing that Thomas Jefferson said, one of our presidents, he says, "I cannot live without books." And I tell you what, if you continue to read and continue to grow yourself and expand yourself through books, you'll become a better designer and also a better person. So let me give you a few books here. First of all, that idea index. This is the type idea index, and it has all sorts of great ideas. It's written by Jim Krause, just like the guy that wrote the idea index. Gives you some great ideas on type and some different things you can do and some good examples to look at on that. The second couple books I want to give you here are... These are made by Before and After Magazine, and one of them is called Graphics for Business, and the other is called Page Design, and they're both written by John McWade, and they got a bunch of great tips on how you can enhance your overall design with typography, with image development, cropping, grid layouts, all sorts of things, logo design. So if you're looking for some great tips and tricks, this is a good thing, a good book to use. And then the last book I want to give you is not necessarily a design book, but it's a leadership book. And us as designers, we are at some point we'll be working as an art director or possibly owning our own studio, and we want to do a good job at leading our people. And this one's from John Maxwell, and it's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Inside, there are 21 different things inside this book that'll help you out and grow you as a leader. For instance, the first law is called the law of the lid, and what that means is how your leadership skills will determine your effectiveness. So if, like, for instance, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a leader that's an 8, you'll only be able to attract people up to an 8. You'll never be able to get those 9s or 10s. So what we need to do is raise our lid, and the way we do that's through books, through trainings, through seminars, and things like that. It doesn't matter how talented you are, if you do not know how to lead people, you'll always hit a roadblock in a wall. So that's a great book, and so those are some I encourage you to check out and look at and peruse for your own viewing pleasure. Again, we want to give you a website of the week to look at, and this week's website is InDesignSecrets.com. For those of y'all that are not familiar with Adobe InDesign, which is the program we're using for this class, this InDesign Secrets actually has a ton and a wealth of information of tips and tricks. They have forums, and a lot of things are just posted, some technical stuff, also some creative stuff, so I encourage you to check that website out. And then I also want to give you your design term for the week, and this week it's bleed. And what a bleed is basically when you print an image all the way to the edge, and when it gets cropped or cut, it is actually a bleed image, which means it goes all the way to the edge and cut off. So if you want to have a full bleed, you need an overprint off of what you want. So for instance, if you have something that the width is 11 inches and you want that picture to bleed, you want to set that bleed at 11.0125 so that they can cut that off and give you a nice, great looking design. So far this week, a few things that we've learned. The thumbnailing process, that's always a fun one because you're really supposed to do that without even thinking, and sometimes we think too much. And my first initial thumbnails were a little bit off, because I actually drew thumbnails, and so I've got, here's an image of it right now of all the different thumbnails I drew, and then I finally realized, wait, I'm supposed to thumbnail my ideas, and so after that we went back to the drawing board and thumbnailed our ideas. But one thing I want to show you that really helped out, that bring out some ways that my thinking went, and I hope it helps you out, is I drew what's called a spider chart, or a brain mapping, or whatever it is, where I took the client, put their name in the middle, and I just began to write all sorts of words that had to deal with the client, what the target audience is looking for, everything. There's body, members, there's all sorts of things on this for Living Word Outreach. And then what I did was I took a look and I highlighted in red some of the common things and some of the things that I think would stick out, and that's where I started on my thumbnail process. So whenever you're looking for ideas or things to do, that's a good thing to do, is a spider chart. Another thing, just spark your creativity. There's all sorts of things you can do. You could take your digital camera and just go out and take random pictures for the day. Take about 30 of them, just anything. That'll help you get your creativity going too. Also, you can set up a subject, like say you want to take pictures of happy. Take 30 pictures of something that represents happy. So that's some tips there also. The thing about type, a few things that I learned, some tips and tricks. You always, like I said, you want to keep your type normally to about 2 or 3 typefaces. 2 is the best. Also, you want to keep no less than 8 point, no more than 10 point on your body copy. But you want to pick something. One thing that I learned is it's not a matter of using every typeface that's out there. Everyone can just use a font, but it's mastering the few that are used, tried and true, mastering those, learning their ascenders and their descenders, their bowls, learning where letters look alike, where you can even just do creative things like combining like the U's and the N's, or doing a negative positive space thing with type. Just begin to get creative with your type. Use it as an art form, not just as something to just send information out. And so hopefully this will help you. That's some of the things I learned, and we're looking forward to next week. We'll be talking a little bit more about the image development, some effects, some things you can do. But tune in next week for that, and we're glad you showed up, and we're glad you saw this, and I will see you next week.